Max? Where?
He's not here.
He's
not here. Sorry.
Hello? It is Wednesday.
It is? Which means Max isn't here.
That's true. It's 6 o'clock on a Wednesday, so Max Simpson is not here. Guys, if you know where Max is, please call Rees.
Yes.
He's starting to get worried.
I think we're all getting worried because it's just every Wednesday at about like 5:15, we see him leave.
We don't know where he is. Where does he go?
Where does he go?
Where does he go? Welcome into the PHNX Rising podcast. I'm Owain. This is Rees.
Yeah. I'm not Max, though.
He's not Max. That's true. Even in Max's absence, we do have football to talk about.
Unfortunately, again. It's just
Don't
the only
be too
reaction.
positive about this now, Rees. They're unbeaten in 6.
1 win in 6, too. It's awesome.
That's true. Welcome to the PHNX Draws podcast. Where apparently all that happens now is Rising draw almost every game.
Yeah, it's just...
I know.
It's fun to see a winner in games every now and then, and it's just...
Well, the last two would come from behind draws.
But then they're not
2-0
winners.
down at half time.
Yeah, but they're not winners.
They're not. Although I will say that the last game, and that's what we're going to start with ultimately here, is that last game. Phoenix Rising drawing 2-2 at home against Loudoun United. Rising 2-0 down at the break. A goal early in that one. Also another goal then late in stoppage time. I mean, honestly, well over what the stoppage time probably should have been in the first half to put Loudoun 2-0 up before Rising kind of get a comeback. Ultimately end up with a goal of their own deep in stoppage time, in second half stoppage time this time to walk away with a point.
It was bizarre. And it's another game where we can copy and paste the show link from any of the last few weeks and paste it in here because the first half, Rising looked really, and I can't add enough reallys here, bad, where they had 6 shots, 2 were inside the box, but they were on the edge of the box.
Yep.
They were just not creating chances. They weren't getting into the box. They were getting into the final third, but doing nothing with it. And it just looks like we were watching the same old Rising from every first half this season, it feels like. And then the second half, it gets slightly better. They get into the box, which is a good thing, but it's not like some of these last few draws where they've actually looked good in the second half. This one I felt was much more, they got lucky to walk away with a point, and they got really lucky.
Right, and that was a comment that we heard from Pa-Modou today. And he was talking to us about how you look at that last game, and he kind of starts by saying, well, we had a bad 45 minutes, and then kind of catches himself and says, well, no, more of it was bad. We had 2 real moments in the game, and thankfully the team took both of the big chances that they had, even if one of them ended up being an own goal, but there was pressure there, so I mean it could have been turned in anyway, and at the end of the day you've got to take those shots on to really give yourself a chance of anyway, so I'm making an error like that and giving one up. But it wasn't look, we've said how many times this season that this team doesn't really give you complete performances. They give you fight. You can't question the fight in terms of do they give up when they go down, and no, they don't. But they are, as again Pa-Modou said after the game, a team that has a tendency, it's happened a few times this season, whereby they kind of get punched in the face early and then have to battle back from that. Not necessarily a team that frequently will start the game on the front foot.
And it's also the issue is they're taking the same punches every single time. It's not like it's a different path to them falling down. It is the same jab, whatever you want to call it, that they're receiving from the opponent. I mean, you look at the first goal from Loudon. How many times have we seen that this season?
Well, it's the
where
same
they
as that.
lose runners?
Yeah, you just send a few people at Rising's defense, and they will lose someone. Yeah,
Exactly. And even if Rising have the numbers, they still find a way to lose somebody. And it's just so concerning to see that at this point of the season with how close it is. And it's unfortunate. I think it's just something that is a part of this team. You can't change it because, again, we're 25 games, or is it 26 games now? 25 games into the season. Got 5 left to play. What we're seeing week in and week out is what we've been seeing since the start of the season.
Yeah, it is. It's somewhat same old, same old. Look, this team, it's an interesting one because it feels as though every time they take steps forward, they'll find a way to take a step back somewhere else. And you get to a point where you kind of look at this team and say, have they come on in certain areas since the start of the year? Yeah, they have. But then they'll also drop these performances. I mean, I remember a time when, we said early doors in the season, this team starts slowly. They don't have good starts to games. They tend to pick it up later on. And then the comment was, oh, it's fine. We've moved past that. We've gotten better in those moments. But then you look at these last 2 games, and again, it's early exchanges. It's struggling in those moments and going behind. It's kind of like a resurgence of that. And yes, to an extent, some of that is just the nature of, you'll have the ups and downs of football. But there's another part to it whereby it's just, again, this team kind of is what it is. I think we gave this team a lot of grace earlier in the season and still do to a degree. And I see the plan. I see what the ideas are behind how they're going to put this team together. I don't think it's there yet. I don't know whether it'll get there or not. But I see a plan there. But at the same time, when we talk about this 2025 Phoenix Rising squad, we also need to be honest and say, look, again, you're 25 games in. It's not about what this team shows in moments. It's not about what this team could do. Right now, when you're 25 games into the season, 25 league games into the season, it's what you are.
Yeah.
And repeatedly, this team shows us they are a team that will find ways to kind of shoot themselves in their own, in the foot. And it's frustrating because you get games like this last one where you think, okay, if they hadn't been quite so sloppy, I mean, maybe this game, Loudon are doing quite well in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, the game for Sacramento are doing well in the Western Conference. Maybe you look at this and think, oh, well, you still take the point. But so many other results going in Rising's favor that could have seen them start to climb up the table that bit more, and they just don't take advantage really in there.
And again, that's kind of been the story of the whole season, but especially this late in the season, it is so frustrating. Colorado Springs lose, Orange County lose, El Paso lose, New Mexico draw with Monterey Bay, Oakland draw with Tulsa. It's the Western Conference, as we said, it's again, so many times this season.
No one wants to win.
No one wants to win. No one wants to have the home playoff game, but Tulsa, and even they don't really want it that badly, it feels like. And
even though they're going to get it.
They're going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, they may actually finish second. I think there's a chance here. There's slightly weaker run of form. Sacramento's improved run of form here. I think there's a reasonable chance that Tulsa could actually drop to second. Which may not be good news for Rising because it may increase. I don't know if Rising are going to finish 8th. I think maybe there are some worse teams in there, some worse form teams. El Paso, a big one. Orange County aren't really doing what they need to do to pick it up at the bottom and put pressure on Rising. We'll get into a little bit more depth on this later. But I do wonder if Tulsa dropping to second may mean a trip to Tulsa. Admittedly on weaker form, but it's a longer trip and a bit more of a complicated trip to do. I don't know if you want to go there and play on a baseball field in the first round of the playoffs. You kind of know what you're getting with Sacramento a bit more.
The last 2 match weeks, every team from 5 to 12 in the current standings in the Western Conference have not won a game.
Yeah.
They've either drawn or lost.
No one wants to win.
It's just
Phoenix Rising included,
ridiculous.
apparently.
Yeah.
Rising currently one of 2 teams that are unbeaten in their most recent 5. The other team is
Louisville City, so good company.
It is good company. The difference is Louisville's got 4 wins and a draw. Rising's got 4 draws and a win.
All I'm hearing is they both got 4 and a 1, so that sounds good.
I'd also point out Rising there have 7 points, of which many other teams have substantially more points than that. I mean, New Mexico have 7. Colorado Springs has 7. Sacramento has more. Tulsa has more. San Antonio has more. Lexington has more points. But yeah, any other thoughts? This is like back to that Loudoun game specifically, because we've kind of, I think, drifted off to the bigger picture here a little bit. But when you look at that Loudoun game specifically, that first half, woeful, I think. And we mentioned the goal that was scored in the 9th minute of first half stoppage time, which is kind of insane. But you also, to an extent, have to earn the right to complain about those kind of things. And Phoenix Rising didn't do anywhere near enough in the first half, I think. You don't have a single shot on goal, 0.24 XG. You're doing that with 57% of the ball. You got to be better. And you didn't feel threatening at all, really, in that first half. You got to earn the right to complain about things like that. And I think at that point, Rising definitely hadn't.
I agree. And I also think once we got to like the 6th and 7th minute of stoppage time, it was kind of obvious that Loudoun was just going to score just because it felt like that half was never going to end. And they had some chances.
It didn't feel like it was ever going to end, to be fair.
I was worried that we were going to be there all night with how that was going. But it was just bizarre that it kept going, because there were like multiple free kicks, goal kicks, whatever, stoppages of play, where you'd see the ref, just in most games, just, oh, that's dead. That he's going to blow it dead there. Makes sense. We'll go to halftime. But it just never came. And I don't even know how to describe what I witnessed in the 9th minute of stoppage time in the first half with no major injuries, really.
But what is, and here's the question, what is the issue then for Rising in terms of, we look at the first half and we try and pinpoint, why is it that this team has a tendency to stall out? Because I think there's quite a few different things, but I'm intrigued what you say on this one, Rees.
I think this is kind of interesting, probably controversial, but I think a lot of the guys in the attack for this team aren't 90-minute guys and are 30-minute guys at the end of games when you're going against tied legs. I know you agree with that for like Darius Johnson.
The front three for this, yeah, is Darius Johnson, Ihsan, Sacko, Remy Cabral.
Yeah, and to me, I don't feel that Ihsan, Sacko, and Remy Cabral work in a tandem. I think Darius Johnson's best role is suited when he is playing, coming off the bench. The issue is, who do you start over him? And to be honest, I don't think you have anyone healthy that you can.
Well, right now, let's talk about the availability. Calvin Arase still training away from the group at the moment because of his injury issues. Damien Rivera wouldn't commit today. Pa-Modou Carter saying that he was out for the season because he said, sometimes things happen. But all but indicated that Damien Rivera likely is not coming back this year. You've got Charlie Dennis, I suppose, who's been playing out wide in some of these games. Not necessarily on that side of the field, though. On the left, more on the right. I mean, that's kind of where the question is, isn't it? Who do you replace then with? I mean, Darius Formella as a winger?
No, Formella.
Ryan Flood as a winger?
Yeah, it's unfortunately, it's your best option.
I mean, to be fair, I was told Ryan Flood last year his best position might be as a centre forward.
I had to watch that for 2 halves. I don't know if I ever care to do that again. But I think Darius Johnson is a very talented player. But again, I just think when you are putting the bulk of creativity from that left-hand side on his shoulders, it just doesn't ever work out to me. I think when you bring him off the bench, I think he's been really good this season. But you just need to find a way to get him to click as a starter, and I don't know how you could do that.
Right. I mean, I look the other part to me. I don't think you're wrong. in what you're saying there. I do think another big part of it is the midfield. I don't
Yes,
think the
yeah.
midfield is conducive necessarily to chance creation in some ways, right? You can look at Hope Abievu, big creative player, of course, but who else in the midfield truly links him? I don't see Noble Okello or JP Skeers in that midfield being...
No.
I'm not asking to create chances, but even, the ball before the chance.
Yes.
Are they guys who are going to play long forward balls? No, not really. Are they guys who are going to drive with the ball? No, not really. I mean, it happened again this last game, and we've seen it in multiple games before sometimes. So you get Noble Okello, who you're kind of hoping he's going to do something, will have his back to the opposition goal, get past the ball like 2 yards, tap the ball to, and instead of even like looking to see where he could go, trying to work out any kind of option, the only thing he does is pass it immediately back to where it came from.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those where I think sometimes his teammates even look at him and go like, why? It's hold up play in a moment where
You need something more.
you don't want to hold up play because you're just passing the ball around your back line.
I mean, with all due respect, there's a reason he's kind of been nicknamed the Gentle Giant by Pa.
I think he's tried to instill a bit more toughness in him, and we don't.
I don't think
we've typically seen it. You see it in moments, but often what happens in those moments more is that he just kind of goes overboard.
Yeah.
Commits a bad foul that gets him a yellow.
In a bad part of the pitch too.
Yeah. I don't think the midfield's quite there. I mean, how the new arrival changes that, I don't know. I think he's more of a replacement for the 6 than the 8. So I don't know quite how you're going to replace what you're looking for from the 8. I think that the aim for that was going to be Sian Emmers, and we haven't really seen that pan out, I think, so far. But... yeah, I mean, it kind of is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, but I also think that Skeers in the 6 role, as good as he is defensively, which I do think he is quite good. And if you need to bunker down, if you're just trying to seal a game away, or you go to New Mexico like they did earlier in the year, Vegas like they did earlier in the year,
we pair him with someone a bit more
exactly.
We always use this as the example, right? That who's the Carlos Harvey in there? Who's the guy who has that bit of physicality to him, but is also going to just sometimes take it on himself to start an attack. And the team doesn't have one. And I'm not expecting you to get a perfect carbon copy of Carlos Harvey, because you're not going to get a perfect carbon copy of Carlos Harvey, right? He was someone who was that kind of step between USL and MLS. He does what he does very, very well. And hey, I mean, it works for him, and it worked for Phoenix Rising while he was here. But you're not going to easily replace that. But I just don't quite get, who's going to fill in that number 8 role, really, and do it well, because I don't think it's working with Noble Okello. I think they tried to go down the CNM's route, and that hasn't really worked. I don't know. We'll come back to that one in a little bit, but any other thoughts just on the most recent game here before we kind of move on from this? Any thoughts on Loudon?
I just cannot believe that they got away with that with a point, but it also felt like...
we were saying in stoppage time, I think, look, both of us were saying this to each other. It was just like, you felt like, and I actually said it to you before Rising got the first goal. I said, if Rising get a goal before the 90th minute, they get one with like 10 minutes to play, they will equalise. But I wasn't sure that they deserved a point from that game.
And I agree with that still. It was just the way Loudon was. They were obviously parking the bus, sitting back. And it makes sense, when you go across the country, that's kind of their ethos of a squad, just do that. But when you're up 2-0, 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in sports for a reason, because once you get that, I know it's a cliche.
I don't think it's true, is it?
I think it is to an extent where like you play like that. Like if you were playing like a Loudon that way,
but I think they might have done that at 1-0 as well. To be fair,
that I agree, but
maybe a little bit later, but they'd still do it.
If Loudon had played and just played open, and actually tried to move the ball forward in the second half, I don't think the 2-0 most dangerous lead cliche stands. I feel like the second you start sitting back and the team gets that first goal, that's where that cliche comes in.
Yeah, maybe. Slight score update, by the way, because it's going on at the moment. Colorado Springs have just taken the lead against New Mexico United. 12 minutes into that game. The goal came 3 minutes into the game, actually, as Yusuke Hanya. 3 minutes into that game. At the moment, 5 shots in 13 minutes for Colorado Springs. Created already over 1 XG.
Wow. Wow.
I know.
Puts Rising in 8th in the live table.
Does it? I think
That's what the league's showing.
the league. I will say this, by the way, as we talk about the league table. The league doesn't know whether El Paso are ahead of Rising or Rising ahead of El Paso.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they keep kind of changing it.
That's awesome.
You'll see that in the league table. They keep changing it. It's like I think Rising are ahead of El Paso, but I'm not sure. I think they need to like manually adjust it. And so every time it kind of changes automatically, it drops them below. I don't know. It's going to be on in-conference points per game, isn't it? So I don't know. Reese, you'd have to calculate.
I don't understand how that works because you're just, in this case, I guess, no mind. I guess it would be
playing.
It's
just what your conference record is.
You just take out the Eastern games and your own. Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed when there was no
West
West
we all
versus
missed
games.
the easier days. We all missed the easier days. Right. Well, when we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about, I think, the table. We'll talk a little bit more about, just maybe Rising's outlook on the remainder of the season. But first, Max Simpson is probably off on vacation. You know where I'd go on vacation?
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Staycation, maybe. I don't know. Albuquerque's a miserable place. You know what's not a miserable place?
What?
Gila River Resorts and Casinos. No one does it better. You can go to any of their 4 locations. They got Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Big Weaver, Santa Mountain, and I'm pretty sure Max probably was heading straight off there, wasn't he, from here?
100%.
Sounds exactly the kind of thing that Max would do. Because if there's one thing that we know Max loves to do, it's he'll head on down to the sportsbook there. He'll put some money on some games. He'll lose said money because it's Max Simpson. We know he doesn't know ball, but if you know ball, maybe you can fare a little bit better than Max Simpson. They've also got over 4,500 slots and live table games and plenty of dining options no matter what you are into. Remember, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You can visit play@gila.com for more details. And of course, if much like Max, you're out there driving away from here, which we all are, what do you need? Car insurance. For more than 15 years, Access Insurance Agency of Arizona has provided affordable and reliable car insurance to drivers in the Phoenix metro area. As a dedicated part of the local community, Access also helps Arizona drivers get insured by offering flexible coverage options and accepting various forms of ID, driving histories, and license types. They partner with over 20 insurance carriers and make it easy for you to compare rates and find the best policy for your budget. With bilingual Spanish-speaking agents at 9 convenient locations across the valley, Access agents are ready to assist customers in finding the right coverage for their budgets and identifying available discounts, both cash and card payments accepted for added convenience. Access Auto, they're trusted by the community, they're rooted here in Phoenix and ready to help. All statements are subject to the terms, exclusions, and conditions of the applicable policy. In all instances, the current policy contract language prevails. Coverage is subject to individual policy holders meeting underwriting qualifications and state availability. Other terms, conditions, and exclusions may apply. Right, let's talk Western Conference. Welcome back to the shambles.
I did just look at both teams' games against the Eastern Conference. El Paso has 7 points against the Eastern Conference opponents. Rising only has 4. So I'm not doing
Rising
the division.
does have probably
Rising's-
then a better points per game
Yeah.
against teams in the West. Okay, so Rising will be ahead of El Paso on that basis. Remember, of course, Rising and El Paso drew both games in the league and the one in the cup as well. So we love that.
That one in the cup was the most pointless match of football I've ever watched.
And to be
in my
fair,
life.
it was 2 games in the league and it finished 7-all on aggregate. Am I wrong?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's 7-all. 7-all on aggregate. That was nuts.
That was.
Nuts. So Rising currently in 7th and in the as it stands table, which of course may be outdated depending on what happens in this Colorado Springs, New Mexico game that is going on as we speak. So if you listen to this pre-recorded probably a bit out of date. Go check the table. It's on the USL website. That's the only one to trust, by the way. I don't even know if I trust this one because it needs a manual adjustment.
That's awesome, isn't it?
I know. I love not being able to get an accurate table. Tulsa currently miles away at the top, 47 points, 25 played. Sacramento, 24 played. They're on 41 points. So they are 6 points behind Tulsa with a game in hand on them. I think they could do that. They're in better form.
But they
I
do
don't
have
know
the
if they
Jaeger
will.
Cup.
They do have the Jaeger Cup, which is a distraction. At the end of the day, again, we've said this. We said this on the last pod. They're hosting that one, I believe.
Yeah, they are.
Against Hartford Athletic. No matter what you say about cup tournaments like that, when you get to a final, you want to win.
Yes.
So you never know. Sacramento might be taking that one a little bit more seriously. We'll see how that goes. San Antonio in third. They're on 36 points, 24 played. So they got a game in hand over Rising. Rising played 25, by the way. And that puts them 4 points ahead of Rising with an extra game to play. They do also have to play Rising, though. So, again, something to bear in mind. Lexington, same games played as Rising, 3 points ahead. Just remember, of course, Lexington won both games against Rising this season. So, Lexington does have the tiebreaker. Colorado Springs, as it stands, they went into tonight 1 point below Rising. Right now, they've got 2 points more than Rising. They will be same games played as Rising. New Mexico, same position. 2 points more, same games played. Difference is Rising has a tiebreaker for Colorado Springs. They do currently hold the tiebreaker for New Mexico, but have to play New Mexico. They'll be playing them in a week and a half's time. El Paso Locomotive right now, slightly below Rising, we believe, on the input conference points per game. Again, don't. If it's wrong, blame Rees. Sorry,
Actually,
Rees.
blame Max.
Blame Max. We'll all blame Max. We can all agree to blame Max?
Yes.
We're going to blame Max. Because the league website doesn't tell you these things intuitively. So El Paso right now, same points as Rising. They do have a game in hand, but they're in poor form right now. They've lost their last 3 games. They are winless since 5 games ago. Actually, same as Rising in that sense. The difference is they've lost 3 of their last 3 games. Just below the playoff line, you got Orange County. They do have 2 games in hand on Rising. They are 3 points behind, but not the easiest stretch necessarily on the run-in. They're currently on 29 points. Oakland, if they want to turn their season around, they got to get a win this weekend. And we'll be talking about Rising's game against Oakland a little bit later in the show. But if they are currently 6 points behind Phoenix Rising and El Paso, but they do have a game in hand. So from Oakland's perspective, a win this weekend really flips that. They're only 3 points behind. They've still got a game in hand. And suddenly it's very much game on again for them at that point. Their form's a little bit more mixed, but they do have 2 good draws in their last 2 games. Charleston Battery away from home, I might add, with a 3-3 draw. And then Tulsa at home with a 1-1 draw, where they did have a 1-0 lead in that match. And then you get down to the kind of bottom dwellers of the league, Las Vegas and Monterey Bay. Funnily enough, only 7 points back on Rising, but Monterey Bay have played a game more. Las Vegas likes to play the same number of games. Vegas somehow on the most impressively bad goal difference in the entire league of -23. The closest to that in the Western Conference is -12 from Monterey Bay.
They also had the most clean sheets until a couple weeks ago.
That's insane.
Yeah. They came out and they were... No, sorry, they still do. They're tied for the most clean sheets in the league with 11. Or tied with
despite having the worst goal difference.
That is incredible. That is... If I had to watch that, I think I would just give up on watching sports.
It's a fair point to make, to be fair.
Second worst attack, most clean sheets, worst defense. Or sorry, not worst.
So right,
defense.
where right now do you see Phoenix Rising finishing in this Western Conference?
Well, anywhere from 3rd to 10th. Isn't that awesome? I honestly think it could be.
I think we're between 4th and 9th.
I'm
gonna
between 4th, yeah.
And even then, I have to say, I think this team has it in them to finish in the top 4, but don't think they will.
Yeah.
I think that my personal expectation, if you gave me a range, I'd say 6 to 8.
I could see that. I think
the games in hand kind of harm Rising.
I agree, and I also don't think you. To me, I have it 6 to 10 just because this weekend. I don't know. I think after this weekend, it could either still be 6-10 or 6-8. Just so
you think
that
a win this weekend to you gives you they're going to make the playoffs?
Yes.
I'd agree.
Just because, I mean, it's a 6-pointer. Oakland could make up ground. Again, they still have the game in hand. I know Orange County's run is tough, but they do have a lot of home games in that run as well. I think they end the season with 3 straight home games. It's not easy, obviously, but again, the games in hand is what makes it a little freaky for me. I just need to see Rising get another win, and I'll have more confidence in them actually making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, as I look at this table, I think about, how the teams around them finish. I think El Paso, ultimately, the thing that makes me think this team, I'm probably at about 75% confidence right now. I think this team makes the playoffs, and I'll tell you why. And it probably should be higher, because I just think that El Paso are in just such bad form right now that, to me, if a team is going to kind of collapse and drop out of it, I think it's them.
I agree, but I also think they've had such a difficult run of matches. I mean, the last 3 games, so the 4th game in that run would have been the Rising 3-3 draw, but since then they've lost to Loudoun 2-1, North Carolina 1-0, and Charleston 2-0. I think they've got kind of a get-right game against Rhode Island this weekend, and then they've got Oakland in that run as well. Like, I think for them, again, it is manageable that they get back on track, just because, that's not an easy stretch.
You know what I'm going to say, though? Here's the thing. I'm pulling now from John Morrissey's projections, by the way. John Morrissey, of course, good friend of the podcast. He puts projections out. He's got Rising at the moment with the 8th highest chance of making the playoffs in the Western Conference, so just marginally above Colorado Springs Switchbacks, who are currently winning, by the way, and likely only to boost themselves. Rising consistently fall just below the line in his projections.
Yeah.
They're only just above it right now. They're not very high. I think part of that is to do with just the fact that there are games in hand for other people obviously plays a role in any statistical model, kind of predicting it out, because you're likely going to get some points for a game on this. Like, in the long run, you're more likely to get something out of, a greater than 0 is going to be the expected value for each game. But I'm just impressed that they're consistently, I think, right down there. I mean, his model seems to be pretty consistent on this, genuinely.
And the model has Orange County making the playoffs too.
It does. Who have not been great, but they do have 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
The other thing to note, though, there, it really is tight between Orange County, Phoenix Rising, and Colorado Springs in his model. 39 points for Orange County, 38.4 for Rising, and 38.1 for Colorado Springs. That's kind of like neck and neck, really.
Yeah.
There's less than a point separating all of those teams. I will say here now, and we're going to take on a slightly different direction with this one now, away from the Western Conference. Let's focus on Phoenix Rising as a whole. Is this season right now, what is a success at this point? And I mean, in a way that you'll look back on this season and
I think that is difficult to tell, because I think that any successful season in the USL Championship has to either end with the title or have a home playoff game in it. And even
I wouldn't quite go that far. I think if you make it a conference championship.
Yes, yeah, that's fair enough too. But I think that, the home playoff game, I'm not going to say it's out of the picture yet, but it's not really that close. I mean, they got to make up ground and hope other teams lose, which with how the West is going, wouldn't shock me. But and then the conference final, that could be tough, especially if you don't make up that ground towards that home playoff game. You face maybe not a Tulsa, but you face a Sacramento within those first 2 rounds. I would worry deeply about that game. Yes, I know I talk a lot about how Danny Vitiello is fraudulent, but I think
you do. It's always intriguing to me, because I think we're both. I think a lot of people here are quite of the opinion that Danny Vitiello is fraudulent.
Yeah,
and then you chat to other people. Like I believe Devin Kerr put him down as the best goalkeeper in the championship.
I think he's kind of got the Alex Tambakis-itis, where he doesn't show up against Rising ever.
That's possible.
And
yeah, but Alex Tambakis just isn't good.
No, absolutely not. That is something.
Yeah, but he's the all-time saves leader in the league because he's not good enough to go to a higher level.
Yeah.
So he's always stuck down here. I don't know, but I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I'm kind of seeing now some of the comments here. Going around Pat to be a success this season, barring a miraculous title, is realizing this season was a failure and rethink how they do things. The thing is, it's a failure in multiple ways to me, and this is kind of where the question comes in. I think we've seen. Look, obviously, teams take time to build.
Yes.
I think what we're seeing in some ways, though, and where it comes to be a bit of an issue, is while the signings from overseas, and that's become a hallmark of this rising club now, right? Under Brandon McCarthy as the sporting director, they look overseas a lot. They do. They've got this whole sporting scouting program network thing they've created, whereby people are off watching the second division in Bosnia or whatever, and scouting back on. I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but they're watching weird leagues from around the world to try and pick out players that are good. Is that by their own admission, it's a very boom or bust kind of approach. And when every single mid-season signing, by and large, is coming of that model, you kind of get booms and busts there. We spoke about Cian Emmers, right? You'd have hoped that he would have been a lot better than he is. He hasn't been the player that they were hoping for. And
No.
You're kind of gambling on each of these. That's the thing. Maybe you get away with it a little bit more in the off-season when you have much greater turnover. But those mid-season acquisitions generally are because you've identified that as a serious hole in the squad that you need to fix. And the other thing about mid-season is you don't normally get two bites at the cherry for those. It's your one chance. You get to say, okay, we want to change it up. We want to bring a new midfielder in who's going to do this kind of role. And if they work in that role, it's great. But you don't generally get a chance to bring someone in who does the exact same role later on in the season again after you've already had one go at it in mid-season.
Yeah. And, I mean, who else did they bring in?
Calvin Arase.
Calvin Arase, Rafael Chisos.
I mean, he's come from...
Right. High level, weird year for him.
But even then had about a while off.
I'm not missing anyone, am I? Jean-Eric Mousseau, who we haven't seen yet. I don't think I'm missing anybody.
I mean, obviously, you had a Salasanga came early, but that was very much
that was like
kind of a you had to make. I mean, Danny Flores is on loan as well, coming in from Guadalajara.
But I mean, the issue is when you bring in, and I feel like you can look through rising years. When you're bringing in guys mid-season, it kind of goes one way or the other, where it's, hey, this guy's really, really great, where, you look at like Panos and Darius Formella coming in 2023, or it goes the other way, and it's not great, and it doesn't make that big of a difference to the squad, and you kind of just wonder, why wasn't this more so addressed in the offseason? Because I feel like some of the holes that they tried patching up this offseason were kind of obvious from the start in a way, where, you look at the midfield, I feel like we were a little bit higher on some of these guys, but I still think we knew, hey, this is an inexperienced group. Where's that kind of backbone of veteran presence or just, good quality player that has played at this level or even higher? And we just haven't seen that, or didn't see that this window. And I fear that it kind of put Rising back. And, we talked, not to use the term boom or bust again, but we kind of talked before the season, was this, again, could go one way or the other. It could be really good and these players play to the full potential of themselves, or it kind of goes how we have seen it now, where not all these guys panned out. Most of them, you could argue, didn't. And
I feel like we're already kind of doing the end of season review now already, but it's because we're 25 games in. And it's
Here's something I found just now. Through the first 12 games, Rising had won 5 games. All right, that includes a 4-game winning streak. Since then, so 13 league games, they've won twice. That's not a great clip at all.
No.
Now, it's not like they're losing a whole ton, but they're not winning.
Yeah, so it's 2 wins in 13 league games, I believe,
2 wins, 13 league games, 4 losses in that span, which equals, 7 draws? 1, 2,
3,
3,
4, yeah, 7.
7, yeah.
7 draws. Yeah, not great. I will address Bonnie's question in there before I got one other thing in there. At this rate, do you think they're going to actually make the playoffs? I think they will. I think they will just because everyone in this conference is like allergic to winning.
Yeah.
To a degree that I just think there are enough other bad teams in here that they'll finish ahead of. Again, my biggest fear, and I've said this to Rees, is that I don't want this to kind of over-egg in the team's own assessment of how well they've done this season. I don't want them to think they've necessarily done better than they are and that then hurt them going forward. I'm not sure that it will, but it's obviously something that we think of here.
I do think to make the playoffs, they have to find a win eventually. I don't think, you draw the next 5 games.
No, I think you do make it in with those draws. Genuinely.
I do, but I just think you have just momentum, because I think if you draw the next 5 games, which would be utterly ridiculous to draw 9 straight matches, I think I would have to step away from this podcast for a month, go on a vacation, see some palm trees.
Max knows a lot about those
he'll recommend me
vacations.
some destinations. If they draw the next 5 games, it would put them on what is that? 30. Do the math. Yeah. What's 32 plus 5? 37. That took way too long for adding 5, but.
You don't do numbers, that's fine.
Yeah, don't. No, that's Max's job, isn't it? That would be very bad.
Yeah, I will say one other thing. I do want to talk about it here. And I mean, Goodall and Pat is kind of hinting it with the 5 years between home playoff games. That's fine. Yeah. There's one other thing I want to touch on as a failure this year. They haven't had 5,000 at that ground for how long? And that's unannounced attendances. No. The crowds this year have been abysmal. We've got to be honest about that. We can't sugarcoat that. They have been abysmal. And you really have to question. I see what the plan is on the field, even if there are elements you don't always agree with. I don't know what the plan is off the field for this club right now.
If they had a home playoff game at the end of the season, played whoever.
They kind of need it, though.
How many people, though, do you think would they be able to get in the ground?
I don't actually know. I think they get an all right crowd, but I just don't think. I don't think if you ask me, would they sell it out? I don't think.
Yeah.
Whereas if you asked me that about 3-4 years ago, I'd have said, of course they would.
Yeah.
Because they always did. There we are.
Dark.
That was a dark way to end that segment. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Oakland Roots in the game coming up on Saturday. But first, we're going to talk to you about our friends at Branded Bills, because Max has taken off. Didn't take off with a hat there, did he? Of course, he probably has. Man tends to stash away the hats. Are there any hats in here that we can nick?
So. Not that I can
don't
see.
know. We can't see any from where we are at the moment. That's a shame, because normally we get a lot of fun out of just kind of trying to
put it on Max,
on Max's head there, and Max is not here for us to bully in that way, unfortunately. But of course, Branded Bills, they have lots of good stuff. We mentioned U of A there if you really have to, but they also have many other partnerships with universities, ASU, and over 40 partnerships actually with universities as part of their campus collection. And they partner with Phoenix Suns as well. They're a local company. They're from here in Mesa, Arizona, and they've got all kinds of stuff: snapbacks, truckers, fitties, beanies, tees, everything you like. Head over to brandedbills.com. Use that code BBPHNX. It's on the screen down there for 15% off of your first order. Speaking of which, by the way, as well, it's pretty bright out there still, even though it is, getting towards the end of September here, so you might still need those shades. I did today out at training at Phoenix Rising, and of course, always better if you've got shady rays. Max, we keep talking about Max during all of these ad reads, don't we? It's because he gives us so many fun stories to talk about.
He does, doesn't he?
Max managed to break his shady rays.
Yeah, that is a classic.
He was heartbroken that day. He was genuinely heartbroken that day.
But they were replaced.
They were replaced because here's the thing. With Shady Rays, if you lose or break your Shady Rays, even on day one, they're going to send you a brand new pair. They get it to you. No questions asked. Can't get better than that, can you?
Nope.
Can't get better than that. Well, we've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. If you head over to shadyrays.com, use the code PHNX for 35% off of their polarized sunglasses. You too can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Right, Rees. Oakland Roots. Oakland Roots. What are we thinking?
I'm getting my score prediction out of the way fast. It's going to be a draw, 1-1.
It's going to be a draw. He's getting it out off the top. Right, what do we think about Oakland Roots?
It's
Good couple of games for them last year.
It has been, yeah.
Even though they're not getting over the line. I mean, Tulsa, they took the lead in that game.
And I mean, Peter Wilson is absolutely banging in goals at the moment.
You are just beaming at that one because you think Peter Wilson is
funny. Well, I mean, you watched his game against Rising, 2 months ago?
You're not sure if the guy knows where the goal is.
No, the chances that he had in that game made me believe that Max Simpson could score a goal in the USL Championship. And all of a sudden, and he leaves that match without a goal. Peter Wilson does. He gets subbed off at halftime. And the striker they bring on, it didn't play much better, in all fairness to him. But since then, Peter Wilson has scored in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the last 7 games and has scored 7 goals in that span. He just can't stop scoring after a game where it looked like he could never score. It's incredible to watch. It really is.
I mean, look, he's not a bad player. It turns out, apparently.
Apparently,
you didn't see that one coming, did you?
It's
Goldman Pat's dead on, by the way. Oakland should have had 4 at halftime.
I mean, Peter Wilson should have had 5 goals in that first half. The chances they had in that game, it was astounding that they left it with only the 1 goal, which, in all fairness, wasn't even from Peter Wilson. It was from Maury Donor. And, also a lot of the chances they had didn't even end in shots.
I actually think if they'd have scored 2 or 3 as they should have, that Rising could have been dead and buried before the comeback even came on.
Absolutely.
Again, it was another of those games where we're kind of par accepted the team kind of needed to be a bit better, to be honest.
It was another game where the first half was slow and they did enough in the second half to walk away with the result.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Charlie Dennis, a huge impact in
was.
the second half of that particular game. Will you do it again? Does he start this game for Rising? Look at Rising's perspective.
Well,
does he start this game?
I'm looking at the front 3 from that last Oakland game. Darius Formella, Ihsan Sacko, Juro Margarita. We still
one of
miss
them's
you.
gone.
One of them's gone.
One of them's
hasn't featured in significant minutes and feels
being
like
cast aside to
ages.
Purgatory.
Yeah.
And then Ihsan Sacko,
who shows up every week.
Kevin's favorite player.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I mean, you could start Charlie. You couldn't. You might not start Charlie. I don't know how to really explain what games work well for Charlie and what games don't, because I don't know if he does either with how some of these performances go. And when the good games from Charlie Dennis
I don't think he's that bad.
No, I don't think he is either. I think he's
that
really
bad.
good. But I feel like sometimes you just...
Would you start him?
I don't know, because I really like Ihsan Sacko on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I want to start him as the 9.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think he can really start Charlie on the left. We haven't seen it too much this season, or really in his time with Rising. So I don't think it'd be too fair to put him in that spot and then judge him off of it. And then, and then just because of that, I don't know if there's really a spot in the starting 11 for him unless you move Hope to the bench. Maybe try and put him in that 8 role, which I don't really think is his best spot. And unfortunately, just because of all those factors, I just don't think there's really a way to get him into the starting 11, even as good as he's of a player as he is.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But let's have a look again at Oakland, though, quickly. We obviously brought up Peter Wilson there. Some other players you're going to recognize, not just guys that, of course, we've seen in recent meetings with them, of course, but obviously we've mentioned it. Panos Armanakis plays there. Danny Trejo has made a few substitute appearances since arriving there from Birmingham Legion. Do you see either of these guys playing much of a role in this game?
I think Panos definitely will.
You really do, because it's been a few games and we've kind of been waiting for the Panos Revenge.
We absolutely
have
been.
We haven't
but
seen
this would be, if he plays, this would be the first time he actually plays at Rising, because he didn't play in that Memphis game. Right?
That is true.
So maybe he's just been saving all that emotion for this game like a year and a half later. Maybe that's the case. But I mean, on Trejo's side, he's kind of struggled with injuries, been in and out of form all season. Did play last week against Tulsa, so you maybe see him feature this week. But I mean, goalie man Pat comment there. Former Rising player equals guaranteed goal against.
It's fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah,
There
could
we
definitely
go.
see him scoring.
Right. Any other last quick thoughts before we go back to the predictions? I know you already gave yours, but I'll make you restate it.
Well, I just don't want to see a draw. I mean, I'll get more into anything else, but I just don't want to see a draw. I think
it's going to be a draw.
it's going to be a draw. I
right.
think their defense is good enough to limit
Fair
Rising.
enough. There we go. Then 1-1. You said I'm going to go with 2-2. We're going with a draw here as well. Who you got scoring?
For Rising, we'll go.
I'm not predicting for Oakland, but I'm
Charlie
gonna
Dennis. Oakland, since I only have 1 goal, I'll predict the 1 goal.
Give me
Panos.
Dennis and an own goal.
Dennis and an own goal.
Dennis and an own goal.
Let me guess, the Dennis goal would be from the spot too, so they don't.
Oh man,
That'd be beautiful.
Okay, right. Any last thoughts? 2-1 says James in the chat. We'll come back to some of the score predictions soon. We will maybe have a little bit more to talk about. I think of not about this game, but a little bit of USL news and other things as well on the other side of the break. First, we're going to talk to you about our friends at Rally House. Now, remember, what's the main thing to know about Rally House here?
They have Rising merch, which is the most important thing for any store.
There we go. Rees is impressed.
I am very impressed.
Rees is incredibly impressed. They are the go-to spot to shop for all your favorite local Arizona team gear, including Phoenix Rising.
Yep.
There we go. What more can we say? Well, they do have shop locations in Tempe, Mesa, and Glendale. You can check them out online as well. That's where we found the all-important Phoenix Rising stuff online. What do you know? USL Championship stuff exists.
USL's the biggest league in the world.
Exactly. They have all kinds of stuff as well about all your Arizona teams, really. Hats, jerseys, all other kinds of fun things as well. You're guaranteed to find something new every time you visit one of their locations. You can find those locations and shop their entire product assortment online at rallyhouse.com today. And Rees, we've got something coming up and we need to talk to you about it because they do have a current meal deal on at Circle K.
Gosh.
And I know that you really have something to say about this, don't you? Because that $3 meal deal featuring a hot dog.
I do have something to say. Can't be worse than the
Select
Rising hot
Frito-Lay
dog.
chips and a Polar Pop up to 44 ounces. Rees, hot dog?
As long as it's not a Rising hot dog.
That's such a negative thing to say. But you know, we'll get you out to Circle K. We'll get you that hot dog from Circle K. Remember, there as well, they are America's third stop, and you can join the Inner Circle. It's a free membership program. You just download their app to enroll. Use your phone number to get deals, all kind of great deals. 79-cent Polar Pop, 99-cent Froster, and of course, you also get discounts on gas, which always help, and it's a field day tomorrow as well, so make sure to make the most of that. You can join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Right, Rees, when are you doing the hot dog challenge, by the way, mate? You think about
eventually.
that. We've got some predictions, score predictions in here. James, obviously 2-1 Rising, said earlier. Goodall Pat saying 2-1 Oakland, with some language I don't think we're allowed to repeat on here at this point. Bonnie saying 1-0 Oakland. Yeah, wow. Positivity, guys. We both predicted draws. No one else is predicting draws, apparently.
If they draw 5 straight games, I just don't know what to do.
Do you hear the desperation in this man's voice?
You know,
he's losing it. He's losing it.
You know, there's been many times where I've just been very desperate in my score predictions, and it's never panned out in my favor. I asked for Rising to get a shot on target versus Lexington. They did, but it was probably the worst shot attempt you'll ever see. It's just, you know, it's like they hear me and they say, "Oh, no, we'll do the opposite."
Right. So that's pretty miserable. Right, we're going to take a bit of other miserable news here from around the league. We're going to talk about this one. This is a much more serious topic than anything else we've been talking about today. There's a little bit of news now. We're going to talk about this from the weekend. Hartford Athletic against Pittsburgh Riverhounds. This game ended early, right around the 90th minute. Hartford walked off. I'll read this statement now. This is from Hartford Athletic. Unfortunately, due to an on-field verbal exchange between a Pittsburgh and Hartford Athletic player, Hartford Athletic players and technical staff did not feel comfortable proceeding with the match this evening. The club has requested the league to conduct an investigation regarding the use of racially offensive language by a Pittsburgh player. Now, there was a statement from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And I will, again, once I pull this one up now, we'll read that one out to you as well. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds are aware of Hartford Athletics' request for a USL investigation following tonight's match. Our organization takes any allegation of discriminatory or offensive language extremely seriously. At the same time, we stand by our players and firmly deny that such language was used. We'll fully cooperate with the league's investigation into the matter. The league has yet to issue a single statement. That was on Saturday, and it's now Wednesday.
Yeah, that is a very weird from the league that they haven't spoken. Surely it would just be kind of a, bare bones statement where it's just like, hey, we're investigating, but not even having that. It's kind of.
I know. Look, at the end of the day, it feels like we go through this every year. I actually asked rising coach Pa-Modou about this one, and obviously, he can't comment on this specific game. But you ask him about it from his experiences and kind of what it's like in the game, and he said it happens more than you think.
Yeah.
I'm not the first person to tell me that one.
Yeah.
Someone around MLS told me the exact same thing, that it happens a lot more than you think. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it from the league's point of view as to how they're going to actually deal with this, because it feels like it's happening every year almost, that we're getting just the discriminatory incidents that don't really ever get resolved. I do wonder, and this is a part of something that I'm going to be honest about. Obviously, we know at the moment Lawrence Wyke is currently suing the league for defamation over the fact that they initially found him liable for using offensive, insulting, or abusive language, and then subsequently overturned that decision on appeal. I don't know if, as much as I understand in the individual case, I'm not sure about the kind of chilling effect that can have on reporting and on the league actually taking action as well. I don't know. Look, I think it's a societal problem. It's clearly a problem that I think exists quite a bit, I fear, in football as well. And clearly in USL as well.
Yeah.
Again, not specifically saying anything about this incident, although I don't like the silence from the league on this incident. I think we've been waiting half a week now for the league to say something. Even just commenting on an abandoned match, let's be perfectly honest. I mean, the match was abandoned. What's the final score being given us?
Yeah.
Let's even talk about this topic here. The league is not proactive in coming out with anything on that. And again, you don't have to say a lot, but you just acknowledge even that this is being raised. I mean, the league has just kind of ignored it's even happened by the looks.
It has put the match in the standings for what it's worth.
Yeah, and they've also got Phoenix Rising below El Paso Locomotive, where they're not really in the standings.
Yeah,
I don't know what to expect at this point.
No, I don't either.
I don't know. It's sad. You don't want to see this in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you almost wonder to an extent what the league can do, but equally, it's. I think this is something. It's also unfortunately a much bigger problem that you're not going to easily get rid of.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a gloomy way to end.
It
this.
is.
Give me a bit of light here, please, Rees.
Rising draw on Saturday.
That's not a bit of light, Rees.
Oh,
give me
Rising
some
draw
darts
next
news.
Saturday.
Give me some darts news.
Oh, there is some big news.
There's big news. Rees,
I don't know
give
how
it
to
to
say
me.
his last name.
Give it to me. Well, you're going to attempt it, Rees. Come
Adam
on.
Cevada?
Let's go with that.
I'd assume.
We got an Arizona guy in the World Championships this winter.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully I get to see him when I go. That would be
first round exit.
Scenes.
First round exit. Second round exit.
Have some optimism.
Second round exit.
I'll have optimism about darts. I won't have optimism about football at any stage of my life. But the darts, I will always be optimistic about.
Knocks out Cameron Menzies first round.
Scenes.
Knocked out second round.
Oh, we will be there if he knocks out Menzies. Oh, man. That might be top 3 days of my life.
That's a bit of an exaggeration, surely, here, Rees.
No,
it's not an exaggeration. Good to know. All right, well, I think that about wraps us up here, doesn't it?
It does.
It does pretty much wrap us up here. Stand up if you love the darts. See, there we go.
Yeah.
Are you standing?
Well,
he's gonna knock the mic over,
yeah.
so we won't. We'll give him a pass on that one. But this has been PHNX Rising Podcast. I'm Owen.
I'm Rees.
You can follow me on Twitter, OJAmes18.
Rees11_.
And behind the Mac, we haven't really thrown it over to you, have we, Shane? But
yeah, sorry, I've been distracted.
Shane has been distracted back there, but that's okay. That's okay. You can follow Shane on Twitter at Shane Deef. You can follow Max on Twitter, but we don't know why you'd want to. And you can also give Max a little, if you find him, let us know where Max is. We'd really like to know.
Please
like to know. We'll be back here next Wednesday, 6 o'clock. At the usual time. You can follow the beat, of course, at PHX__rising. 4 tweets this weekend. Remember, it's a beautiful game, but it's way more beautiful
when there's a winner in a match that I watch.
There we go. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.